everybody? Welcome to the Higher Purpose Podcast, episode Michael Jordan. That's 23, baby. We made it to 2-3. Brandon, what do you think of that?
Yo, that's pretty nuts. Although I would probably go to be like, that's LBJ's number, bro. It's like an LBJ stand. But
I'm gonna stand with Flo Bob and say that 23 is Jordan.
That's very
Shout out Billy Floyd.
Very fair. Episode 23. A lot of great energy today. Hyped to be here this morning.
Absolutely.
We got an awesome topic.
And actually, I just bringing up Billy. Let me say this real quick. Go check out Billy Floyd and Jay Sway's latest. It's some heat going on Spotify.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name, but it's in
Walking
both their
Buckets.
Walking Buckets. It's in their bios. Check it out. Huge fans of Jay Sway and Billy. They've been crushing it. Good people, good energy. Shout out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this topic today, me and Chris, we were thinking about, hey, let's ask the listeners what you guys want to hear us talk about. Chris put up a poll, open-ended. What would you guys like for us to talk about? And topic that we liked and thought we would do is how to not care what people think about you, which I think is super important topic, especially in today's age with social media. Everyone tries to put up this facade that everything in life is everything in their life is absolutely perfect. You got the perfect body, you're happy all the time, you're just going to all these amazing destinations with your boy.
Rooftop bars, the beach,
with
the
your
wineries,
You're just
the pictures. Come on.
Everyone
you care too much.
But we all know in reality everyone's life isn't perfect, and in the day in the life of social media, it is important to stick and be true to ourselves and not put on this facade and try and portray this person that we actually aren't, or this life that you're living, which we all know life is not that. Your life isn't that perfect.
Yeah, I'm happy. Well, I say all the time, it's like I feel like I see people living this lifestyle on social media, and I question whether they're doing certain things for the picture, or if they're doing it because that's genuinely what they want to be doing, or do they literally care that much about what other people think that they have to get all dolled up and go to the rooftop bar and like, is that really what you want to be doing? Or
yeah,
I don't know. So I know that this topic's amazing because I really could give a fuck about what people think about me. And that leads me, I tweeted this morning, I was like, you must be, like, and this is the way that I live my life, but I am so confident in who I am and what I do that at the end of the day, I can like close my eyes every night and know that I'm doing good for others, and like I don't care what anyone thinks about me, my style, the way that anything. And I just do me literally every second of every day. Like whatever I feel like doing, I do.
Exactly.
And I don't care.
Exactly how it has to be. How it should be, has to be. Ultimately, the most important thing when it comes to not caring what people think about you is you are with yourself 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
100%.
You have to live with yourself all of the time. If you can't be authentic and raw and real with yourself and just love yourself like for who you are, how the fuck like you're doing yourself a disservice. And that's where people start like second guessing themselves and getting anxiety, because ultimately if you're living your life in accordance with what other people expect of you or how you think other people want you to live, you're lying to yourself. And that's where anxiety and all this comes in, because it's like, you know you're lying to yourself,
right? And
you're not being true and authentic to yourself. So no wonder you're struggling to go to sleep at night, or like maybe you're with a group of people in an environment where you act a certain way, but then you step away and you're like, why did I say that? Why did I do that? That's not who the fuck I am.
Right.
But I did that to what? Impress someone else? Why do I need to impress them anyways?
I think you hit the nail right on the head. Like, it comes down to loving yourself, and you have to be in love with who you are.
Yeah.
And when you know yourself and you're super happy with who you are, then why would anyone else's opinion of that matter?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It becomes irrelevant, essentially. And that allows you freedom to express yourself in any way that you'd like. And because you love yourself, respect yourself, I feel like other people's opinions, like I said, become just irrelevant.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
And I think, because and how can you accomplish that? I really think it comes down to like, first you have to like take a step back and think about who you are and like who you want to be. So even if you're not that type of person yet, but it's like, who do you want to be? And if you can answer that, if you know the kind of person that you're trying to be, then you can work towards becoming that.
Exactly. It's so powerful and important. Like, picture like your ideal self. Like, picture your ideal self. Like, how are you acting? How are you talking with others? What's the energy like you're giving off? Like, how can I act in accordance with that ideal self? But it's your ideal self. It's not the person that you think other people want you to be.
Right.
So it's like, exactly, it's how can I be the best possible version of myself and live in accordance with that through my actions, through my thoughts, through how I'm like expressing myself, and ultimately, like I said, it comes down to like, you're with yourself all the time. At the end of the day, like, are you proud of what you did today? You didn't have to get everything perfect. You didn't have to get everything perfect to be your ideal self. But were you fucking trying your hardest? Like,
right.
were you working towards that, making a little bit of progress? Like, maybe if you failed at something, like, how can you learn from that? But it's people. You don't have anxiety from yourself when you have nothing to hide from yourself, and you're just being super raw, super fair. And I think one thing that's super important, I think that environment plays such an important role in how people are living their lives. For example, like, if you're with like a group all the time and you're kind of just like getting swarmed by the group, like you're just following whatever the group's doing and you never able to think or something for yourself, it's super easy to kind of just follow like bad patterns or bad habits or just kind of go down this path that's not really what you're all about or what you're trying to stand for, this or that. So the real power comes when you're actually can take a step back and be by yourself. And when you're by yourself, it's like fucking amazing that you start to recognize like what you're thinking, what your thoughts are. Like, wait, this is who I am. Like, this is what I actually care about. This is what I stand for. So it's so important to listen to your own inner voice, because family, friends, fucking social media, everyone has an opinion of how you should be living your life, and too often people live in accordance with all these other people instead of taking that step back and listening to them and be like, wait, how do I want to live my life, and how should I, and how can I?
Trusting your inner voice, I think, and trusting your instincts and intuition, because you ultimately know who you want to be. Like, and I think you hit the nail right on the head. Sometimes we're exposed and like put into group settings that we just follow the lead of the pack.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we have the ability to like take a step back, remove ourselves from those situations, and really do our own thing. And I think for people that can cause a lot of stress, the uncertainty of doing your own thing, and this is where like what people will think about you. But what I've noticed is the more that I express myself, the more that other people around me feel freedom to express their selves.
Sure.
And not feel a need to look a certain way, act a certain way, say certain things. I literally am always doing exactly what I feel in that moment is like right. And expressing myself, and a lot of the people here at the gym see that, like me dancing when I'm working out, like everyone would think that that's crazy, but that's just me expressing emotion. And then like it allows other people freedom to express themselves while they work out. And that's something that I've learned. So it's like the more that you do you, other people are gonna do them too. And I really hate to see when people get scared of like when they're intimidated by the fear of what people's judgments might be on them for following their passion or for really expressing themselves. At the end of the day, you kind of have to just face that and get it over with. And the moment that like you're over that fear, everything becomes so much like easier in life, I feel like.
I couldn't agree more. And it's like you just enjoy life so much more. And when you're being yourself in your raw, authentic self, the right people are gonna gravitate towards you. And like we've talked about this before. Maybe it won't happen like right off the bat.
Right.
Like it's gonna take like it might be strange like being by yourself more or kind of distancing yourself from groups that you don't necessarily align with anymore. But like eventually, by you just like putting your authentic energy out there, like yourself, like the right people are going to attract themselves to you, and it's gonna be that much better when that gang collides.
I was saying like our group, we don't. I think initially we like form groups based off of habits or like certain things that we have in common that are very superficial. It's like, oh, we all like going to whatever the bars and getting dressed up, or like certain things, or we all like baseball, so like we're gonna hang out. But I think now there's this period post I think college where you start to really learn who you are, and if you can learn how to distance yourself from like the energy that doesn't correlate with you, that energy does end up attracting itself into your life. And once it's there, like we are so fortunate to have the group that we have, but we don't have we don't have the same superficial things in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we have all me, Billy, Brandon, Johnny, like we all have different hobbies, we have different things that we're into,
100%.
but our energies, our mindsets, that they resonate.
The values.
And the core values. And that's, I mean, this is our friendship, but that goes the same for relationships. This is, so being you and literally like, and that's why oh God, I'm gonna go on a little tangent, but it's like, I even see like relationships where like romantic relationships where I feel like it's all very fake because it's all about the picture. It's all about those superficial characteristics that ultimately will fail because the core values aren't there.
Yeah.
So I feel like as you get older, you really become in tune with those values, and it reflects in your relationships, friendships and romantic relationships. So if you follow this herd of like caring what people think and living for the superficial, you're never going to have an opportunity to really experience life to its fullest as far as your relationships go with the people, your happiness. I mean, this affects a lot more than you might think.
Yeah, no, literally, it's like, it's so deep. Like you'll never be able to live the highest quality of life possible if you're not authentic and true to yourself.
Right.
And a lot of times, actually, what I've recognized, and this can be, I think people can forget who they actually are because you've been either following this gang or you've been like affected by like outside external resources like for so long that people actually forget who they truly are. And this is one thing I suggest to you. Who are you? What do you do? What do you think when you're completely by yourself?
Right.
Those moments like you're by yourself, like what are you doing then? Like what are you listening to? What are you thinking in your head? Like that is who you truly are. And like when you actually ask yourself like, what is it that I actually want to do? Like what am I actually passionate about? Like what hobbies like interest me? Like that is who you actually are. And that is not it's not like marked shit. It's not like messed up by like other people. Like there's no other people's like impact on that. Like it's just you asking yourself like, what do I want to do today? Like what do I want to do for my career? Like what impact do I want to make? What hobbies interest me? Like what fascinates me? What am I curious about? What kind of music do I like? What kind of food? Like if you were just by your fucking self all the time, like those things, that's who you are.
Right.
And so, do you know what I'm saying? And people can lose, I think it's so easy that people lose sight of that when they're just being, when they're just with that group and kind of being swayed.
Change their music, change their hobbies. And this is why, I mean, even for myself, like, I literally, like, I feel like I don't, as much as I plan, I try not to plan at all because in the moment, I want to ask myself, like, what do I feel like doing?
Yeah, exactly.
What do I want to do? Who do I want to be around? Like, what am I looking to do? And when you can, like, stop pleasing people, too, and, like, just doing things for them and doing things for you, it becomes more powerful, too, and your quality of life goes up. You're more happy.
Exactly.
And that's huge. I mean, being happy, I always think about, too, for anyone that might be, like, struggling, or maybe you can relate to, like, following in with the herd, it's, like, when you're 80, and I always... This quote has always stuck with me, but it was begin with the end in mind. And it's like when I'm 80, 90, laying in the hospital bed, like knowing my time's up here, it's like, how do I want to look back in like think about my life. Like, I want to know that I was happy, that I made the decisions that I wanted to make, that I followed my passions, that I did things that made me happy. And I would never want to be like, oh yeah, like I followed along to fit in with the herd. I married the girl because we look good on Instagram, and then our relationship fell apart. You know, I bought the car that I didn't need because I wanted to look cool on in front of my friends. Shit like that. Like, is that really? No, fuck that. Like, I know that's not the way that I want to live my life. So I want to look back and think about, happiness, the relationships, the connections, the impact. Like, those are values. So if you're struggling, the first thing I would recommend is like distancing yourself and learning how to be okay on your own and loving yourself.
Yeah, dude, 1,000,000%. And there was like a study on people that were on their deathbed and like their biggest regrets. And one of their, like, the people on their deathbed, like, biggest regrets of life was that they said living a life others expected of them and not the life that was true to yourself. You're like robbing yourself.
Yeah.
You're robbing yourself of happiness, of joy, of peace. Like, you are robbing yourself of living your highest quality of life possible by living a life that others expected.
We always say one life, one legacy. Like, literally, if this is our only go around, like, you want to know that you did this shit right.
Exactly.
Exactly the way that you wanted it done.
100%. And don't ever, like, don't lie to yourself. Don't fucking lie to yourself and be like, no, I really do like this music. Like, it's really like, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
you're only hurting yourself.
You're fucking, but people do it all the time. Like, they try and convince themselves that, no, I really do like this person. And it's just like, no, like, don't, like, if like, you just don't lie to yourself.
I think another thing, too, is, like, not even just music, but it's like, don't follow or fit a mold. Like, if someone's gonna be like, oh, we can't be friends because you don't like this music, we can't be friends because, like, whatever. Like, if it's something so fucking fake like that, why would you ever want to, like, be with that person anyways, or be friends with that? Like, fuck that.
Try and, like, prove yourself to them or something. It's absolutely bizarre, man, and it's too bad that so many people are doing that and try and just, like, fit in. And I know it's like I said, it's not easy at first because we're all social beings and people want to fit in and people want, like, a social group in this, but like it's more important to be around the people that are like you and like-minded and share values and core beliefs instead of just like the surface level.
Right, and there's no one size fits all for life. Like, I explain this to a lot of my high school seniors here, but it's like there is not a cookie cutter path to, like, you're inevitable. Like, you don't have to go to college, you don't have to get your master's, you don't have to just follow the herd and do what everyone else does. You can blaze your own trail. You can do life however you like. And one of the main questions that people ask me is like, oh, what should I study in college, or what college should I pick? And it's like, well, what do you love doing the most? Like, what do you fucking love? You really love business. You really love sitting on the computer and playing with Excel and accounting. Maybe 2 out of the 100 actually do, and that's awesome because I like doing it too. But 98 out of the other 100 are like, oh, I'll get a good job. Like, you don't fucking know that. What does getting a good job mean? Because you're gonna make a certain amount of money. And there's no dollar sign on happiness. I'll tell you that. And everyone can say, like, oh, money can give you like, yes, it gives you more flexibility with your lifestyle and decisions that you can make, but at the end of the day, like, I always say, like, we come from Guilderland, New York, and it's like, we're in Guilderland, New York. Who's the last person that you heard about that, like, ended up on the city streets in New York? Like, you haven't. Like, you're always gonna have your basic needs met for the most part if you grew up in Guilderland. So it's like, there's nothing to be scared of. Nothing should scare you. Yeah.
Dude, no.
That's like, I know in other places of the world there's, like, obviously other circumstances, but money should not be the main motivator for life.
Dude, and another thing too is, if you're not, like, your authentic self and, like, and you don't, like, maybe pursue, it doesn't always have to be, like, a total career switch, but, like, even, like, a hobby, like, maybe you have, like, an obscure hobby, or I don't know, something, or but you're not going in on it because you either people think it's weird, or people will judge you or whatever. Like, we all have our own strengths and gifts. Everyone has their own strengths and gifts. You are robbing the world of giving your gift, if you're not pursuing it because you think other people would like think it's strange, or like maybe like to write and blog or something, but you don't want to start a blog because you think who would want to hear this? Like, do you know what I'm saying? You don't have to start the blog with thinking that it's gonna have 1 million fucking clicks or something. You start the blog because you're passionate about a certain topic and you think that whether it's your expertise or your experience or something could be valuable and it could help that one person, which is what it's all about.
More importantly, it makes you happy.
Exactly.
So, I think wasting your gift.
Yeah.
Like, all of us are gifted in some state.
Exactly.
And it's like, you do not throw away your gift. If you're an artist, why are you working at a bank? Like, and even if you are, maybe you need that, those finances to cover your bills, but do art on the side. Like, always be pursuing that side hobby.
Exactly.
And don't care what other people think. Like, I just started another Instagram page yesterday.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Well, there is a reason, because I love taking pictures of scenery, like nature. I love being out in the woods. I love being in beautiful nature views, and I wanted a place to like kind of portfolio all those pictures that I gather. Yeah. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna start an Instagram page, and I put my name on it and everything. And if someone sees it, like, I don't really give a fuck what they think. Yeah. Like, it's just my portfolio. And when you're doing it for yourself because you love doing it, just like this mindset, maybe I've molded it, but like, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. No, dude, 1 million. And even when I started like Chris Urban Physique, I feel like that was a little bit nerve-wracking. I'm sure when you switch your portfolio to being like Brandon Petta the trainer versus Brandon Petta the college kid. Like you took some like you probably took some backlash. You probably had some people that maybe like
what the fuck?
Yeah, like, what are you doing here? But it's like, and that's what I'm saying, like, there is this period where maybe it's college, maybe it's right after, maybe it's in high school, like, there's gonna be this shift where, like, you have to decide, like, are you gonna, like, face that fear and be you, cut out what anyone thinks, and then go all in on that, or are you gonna continue to fit the mold and post the pictures and the rooftop art? I don't know why I keep bringing that up. I always say my friends in the city, shout out to them. I hope you're doing well. One just Snapchatted me, that's funny as hell.
There you go.
And, but yeah, so it's like you have to like make this transition. And once you do, like, I feel absolutely incredible waking up every day just knowing that I can be me, that I can sing, I can dance, I can talk about romance movies, I can talk about lifting heavy weights, like literally say and do anything that I want and literally be all about like things that I love and put out the energy that I want and like not care at all.
1,000,000%, dude. And another point, that was amazing, and another point I want to make is it's never too late to either like rediscover yourself or refine yourself. I'll use a fucking really awesome example that I love to use about like kind of rediscovering myself, which was super huge. My whole life when I was actually growing up, elementary school, I loved reading. I loved reading as a young kid. I read the biggest books I've ever read in my entire life up to today when I was in 5th grade. I read the 1,000-word page books. I was obsessed. In middle school, 6th grade, I would remember we had homeroom? Yeah. I would read in homeroom, and we were in 6th grade in middle school. But then I looked around, and I was noticing people weren't reading. It wasn't like a cool thing to do. I would just be by myself reading a book or something. Oh. And people were, but that was the time also a young teenager. People are trying to be learn, make new friends, be more social, whatever. Right. So I stopped reading and I started meeting people and talking to people, which is a good thing. You want to learn to be social and this and that. But so after that point when I put my book down in 6th grade, I literally stopped reading for 10 years after that. Wow. 10 years. A decade. I never read except for bullshit Spark Notes and books that we had to read in English class, which I would never actually read the whole thing or whatever, for 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, so through high school, and then through college, which is 4 more years. Wow. So it was 10 years.
That's incredible.
And you know why? It's because reading wasn't cool. It wasn't cool to be and the thing is, parts of me don't regret it because like I made so many friends and like so many great things happened from meeting so many people, making friends, leadership skills, all this stuff. So everything happened exactly what it was supposed to. But it was a 10-year gap, and
it
then
shouldn't have been cut off. Yeah.
And it shouldn't have been cut off. It shouldn't have been cut off exactly. But you know when I fucking rediscovered it. It's so funny. When I moved to Boston, I was living on my own.
Right.
And I was living on my own.
I was gonna say, you're on your own.
And I was like, wait, I had to relearn how to do it, essentially. Not like I forgot how, but like, I read like 5 minutes, like 5 minutes here, and like a night, like maybe 5 minutes, like 5 pages, whatever. And then I just fell in love with it again. But 10 years was gone, essentially, of me reading because I thought it wasn't fucking cool and like, it wasn't cool to read. But I loved it as a little kid. And so it's always been innate in me that I loved reading. And it's just like, this is just a really good example I like to use to like, it's never too late to like rediscover yourself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It was, and this just like is super powerful.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, you were telling that story. I was in the band, like the high school band, like the one where you play the instrument.
Yeah.
Through my senior year, and by freshman year when I went to high school, like I didn't tell a single person. Like guys on the baseball team didn't know I played in the band. I had a concert at night. Yeah. I just did not want people knowing.
Yeah.
And I hid it from everyone. I guess I didn't cut it off, but I did love it, but I still like was that scared to like tell anyone or make it known that I was in the band.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Because especially at a young age, it's a very impressionable age. You're trying to fit in, but the problem is yes, like we were uncomfortable. We weren't uncomfortable with who we were back then, whatever. But we've learned and we've adapted. But so many people, that's how they live their whole fucking life.
That's what I'm saying.
That's how they live their whole life.
I think in middle school, high school age, it becomes a lot harder to completely freely express yourself just because there's a lot of heat and kids are mean, and I see it firsthand. Yeah. I will not doubt that. But by the time you're an adult, if you're still like fully in, like not doing you, that like I'm sorry. And if you're in high school or middle school and you are doing you and you are expressing yourself,
fuck it.
I can tell those kids that come here too because I see the way that they're so confident in themselves and like they just do them, and you know what, they're living their best life and they're only like they're gonna get the most out of this life. And but if you really got to be careful, especially once you get into college and post college life, like you can't fall into that trap. You gotta you're gonna waste your life. That's
and how often like do you see like maybe a kid in middle school, high school, maybe it was a little bit of a loner, maybe like a geek or something, but like super good at whatever it was their craft. Maybe they loved fucking numbers or science or technology. How many of those people, and then now as adults, are just like killing it? Oh, because they stuck to like themselves and their guns. Like they loved tech from the beginning. They never pretended to not or something. Right. And they're just like killing the life.
Weirdos in high school. Now, yeah,
exactly. Because, but like they knew who they were this whole time, and it's like so much power to them.
They didn't give a fuck about what people thought.
I'm
sorry.
I wanted to give a shout out right now. Actually, I'm gonna give a shout out. Evan fucking Sanders has always loved like history. Yeah. He loved history and in baseball and everything. Like that man, like he never like pretended to not care about history. He was always super passionate about it. And maybe like other people are just like, oh, like it's like who gives a shit about any school topics or whatever. That man, like the whole time, he never pretended not to. That wasn't his passion, his hobby. Made a career out of it as a history teacher. Is doing exactly what he loves to do, and that's just amazing because he never dwindled. He never like went off of. He never was inauthentic to himself, which is just it's amazing, man. So shout out Sanders. Hopefully.
And there's not enough. Yeah, there's not enough of those stories. I feel like. Yeah, like there could be plenty more.
You're right.
So if you are a younger viewer, like I really hope that you guys take this advice and just start early. Like just be you and don't care. Like literally, the art of not caring is not caring. Just be you, love yourself, be confident in who you are and what you do, and don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's raw. That's real, but don't give a fuck.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
You got one life, man. One life.
One life.
And how do you want to live it?
You're with yourself 24/7. You're with yourself 24/7. Live a life that you're gonna be. That makes you. The anxiety goes away because there's no need for anxiety when you're doing your very best you're living in accordance with your values and beliefs, and you're authentically doing the best you can.
100%.
Yeah.
So.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, episode 23. That was deep. That was personal.
Yeah.
I really hope that you guys can learn from this, and if you are in that place where maybe you feel like you're following along and not really having the freedom to express yourself, fuck that. Express yourself. Be you. And if you know what, if you lose a couple of friends over it, they weren't real. They weren't meant to be to begin with. So fuck them. Fuck that. Be you. You'll attract the right people. You're gonna live a higher quality of life. You're gonna live happier. You're gonna have one life, one legacy.
Yeah.
What do you want to think about when you're 80 years old? Live life to the full. That's enough for Chris Wortman.
Yes, sir. Live a life that is true to yourself and not one that is expected of you.
Say
one
that.
fucking life, baby.
Say that.
All right, gang.
Catch you next week for episode 24 on the Higher Purpose Podcast.
Peace.
Peace.